Hey, Martin, you're late to the party. You should have done this review back when these episodes were still fresh. Yeah, don't remind me. But it's never too late, right? Season 4 of Gumball was... amazing. It's tied with Season 2 as my favorite season. It's reflective of the series' slow and steady evolution from a standard family-friendly comedy and adventure romp to a worldlier, more unabashedly cynical but still family-friendly comedy with a staggering amount of depth behind it. Although we did see signs of the series going down this route as early as Season 2, Season 4 was when Gumball's identity was solidified. With a season as marvelous as this one, it only deserves a proper send-off, and we got that in the series' second two-parter, The Disaster and the Rerun. In a show that gradually took on a darker tone, these are hands down the darkest episodes of Gumball so far. There's never been a moment in the show where the stakes were any higher. We begin with the Wattersons enjoying a casual drive along Elmore. To lighten up the mood, Nicole starts a song to the same melody as the end credits theme, and everyone joins in, although it takes Gumball a bit more encouraging to get into the mood. So far so good. Nothing out of the ordinary has happened. Not yet. Meanwhile, Rob, aka Dr. Wrecker, is in the middle of some shady dealings with a mysterious vendor who might or might not be the same one from the puppy in the origins. The item being sold is a universal remote, which in the context of the show is a literal universal remote. Because of this, the vendor warns Rob of the dangers that such an item possesses, and that it must never be used for a malevolent purpose like revenge. How does Rob respond to this warning? By using the remote on the vendor to erase him out of existence.
And the time has come for you to pay.
Same for you, buddy. That remote was $12.99.
God damn! Now bestowed with the powers of a god, Rob endeavors to make Gumball's life a living hell just as he promised he would in past episodes. He accomplishes this in the way he described, by systematically taking away everything and everyone our hero loves. The plan is then executed, starting with a multi-car collision that the Wattersons naturally blame Gumball for. After that mishap, Gumball and Darwin decide on what video game to buy from the bargain bin, when Rob carries out the next phase of his mission, inserting hurtful subtitles that Darwin mistakes are Gumball's real feelings towards him.
If we hadn't adopted him, we would have enough money. Are you serious? Huh? What do you mean, isn't it obvious? Am I stupid?
Dude, what's wrong with you? Apart from the fact you're a glorified pet that looks like a tiny orange sausage?
Ow! Dude! Hey, wait!
What's going on? Darwin!
For some reason, that scene reminds me of Goldmember, the third Austin Powers movie, which has a scene where Austin has to speak to a Japanese CEO at one point, and for some reason sees and misreads the English subtitles. The difference is that the subtitles in this episode are perfectly legible, and I can take this episode more seriously than that movie. At least here, no one's making offhand remarks about eating shit, happy asses, or large rods. And that is all I'm going to say about this topic. Gumball then confronts his family to tell him what had happened, but he's so flustered that he's been reduced to nothing but incoherent babbling. It's a good thing that his family can still make sense of his gibberish though. But Rob strikes again, this time using the remote to disable the parental filter. And it literally is a parental filter.
Honey, I know it's difficult because it's so prominent, but could you please forget your stomach for a minute?
It's your nagging voice. I wish I could forget.
Well, I wish I could forget you forgetting our anniversary.
Sorry, kids. Could you just cover your ears for a sec? Your mother and I have come to an agreement. I'm getting a donut and she's getting a better husband.
What?
I think even with the filter, Nicole and Richard would still have a nagging urge to let their baggage out. With Nicole and Richard broken up, Gumball is left in charge of Anais, but in the face of the current frenzy, quickly loses control over the situation and loses her in the mall. As he tries vainly to find his sister, things go from worse to catastrophic.
Gotcha!
I know there's no way to make this.
Oh, Penny? Penny? Please. Listen to him. It's not what it looks like. Let him explain. Penny, calm down. Please, stop. Penny! No, wait! Ah, thank God she's safe. Rob enters the scene, or freeze frame, and gloats about his victory to Gumball. He leans on the already fragile fourth wall, commenting that Gumball's amazing world is the product of another person's imagination brought to life and made to entertain millions of people watching at home. And that he always wanted to be the goofy sidekick, not an antagonist. But not without adjusting the aspect ratio, contrast, and music first. He then reveals the void with the intention of throwing Gumball in there. Gumball, however, isn't going down so easily, and he and Rob fight for the remote. inadvertently changing a setting or two in the process. Rob eventually gets the upper hand and rids himself of his blue feline nuisance once and for all. Oh, and he also throws away the remote, believing that the batteries have died and forcing Gumball to chase after it. Did I just say that right? He threw an all-powerful remote that can alter the very fabric of reality down a nearly inescapable limbo. What? Ah!
You are made of stupid.
Whatever will we do without your wisdom, George Takei? So anyway, Gumball falls down the void with the credits playing out in the background, implying that he is no longer under the protection of the fourth wall. The decision to discard the remote proves to be a fatal mistake for Rob, since the batteries aren't dead, one of them was just out of place. After reinserting it correctly, Gumball gains the power of the remote for himself and rewinds time to make things right. Here's a lesson for you to take away, kids. When you have an object of unspeakably godly power, don't just discard it like it were a bubblegum wrapper, otherwise you'll only be f***ing yourself over in the ass. Okay, put your pitchforks and shotguns down. I'll explain why this is a stupid move on Rob's part. I understand that Rob getting rid of the remote is him being confident in his victory, and pride is an extremely common downfall amongst every villain, but... come on, man. If the Empire accomplished their goal with the Death Star, would Emperor Palpatine really tell his subordinates, "It has been done. I have enlightened the masses to the dark side. Do me a solid and dispense of this mechanical paperweight. Sell it off at a garage sale, or auction it off to the highest bidder." Would he do something that idiotic? No! So, Rob, why? You stupid idiot! Alright, let's just agree to disagree before this gets out of hand. Let's just go with the whole for the sake of plot progression and suspension of disbelief card like we should. Capiche? Good. We now get into part 2 and the season 5 premiere, the rerun. After rewinding time with the power of the Universal Remote, Gumball uses his acquired knowledge to avert the impending crisis. He gets off to a rocky start, but Darwin and Anais jump on board after he informs them of what's really going on. It doesn't go very well, to put it lightly. In fact, the outcome is much worse. Nicole and Richard are de-aged, which causes the Watterson kids to disappear from youngest to oldest, and Penny is going to meet certain death yet again. Just when it looks like that Rob has won for the second time in a row, Gumball overpowers him after he takes advantage of his prior knowledge of their earlier fight. He cracks a bit of clever banter while he's at it.
I'm sorry, but you Oh, sorry. I said, you shouldn't have pushed my buttons.
Wow, give yourself a pat on the back for that one. And then banishes Rob into the void.
Yes! I win, and you lose!
Is this really a good time to be an asshole, Gumball? I don't think so. But Gumball is not a total asshole, obviously. He jumps into the void headfirst to spare his arch-enemy from his eternity of exile. Rob, however, coldly rebuffs Gumball's advances, and time is not on Gumball's side. The remote slips from his grasp as his body disintegrates. Rob takes the remote and is faced with a sadistic choice. And as much as he hates him, he can't deny the compassion and selflessness that Gumball has just shown him. In return, he opts to rewind time back to the beginning of the saga, which essentially leaves Gumball without any memory of what just happened, and effectively putting their newly formed friendship to a painful dead end.
So, how are we gonna sort out this mess?
Not we. This is for me to fix. I'm going to go back in time.
Wait, does that mean we won't be friends anymore?
Yeah, I guess none of this will ever have happened and things will go back to normal.
I look forward to being your enemy again in the future?
Huh. Me too. Goodbye.
The saga ends with Rob destroying the remote, but with his memories still intact, resigning to a fate that can only be described as lonesome, all while Gumball's amazing world lives on. Damn. What a ride this has been. I'm still kinda shaken up. Whew. Ben Bokule, you are one mad genius. This show sure is something else, isn't it? If I sing these episodes' praises, I'll only be repeating what others before me have said, so I'll try to change it up as best as I can so I don't sound like a broken record. The meta concept has historically remained in the backseat of a story and plot, and the small 5-second long instances in which it is referenced are most likely never going to be brought up again in the future. Breaking the fourth wall is usually, not always, resigned to a one-off joke that acknowledges the medium and the audience, whether derisively or affectionately. But that's just it. They are a one-off occurrence, a fleeting moment. Think about having lunch at a fast food joint. Satisfying, but nothing really special. I have an easier time naming those small occurrences compared to examples where the meta-concept was an integral part of storytelling. Among the examples I can immediately think of that do so for dramatic purposes are the legendary Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the Metal Gear franchise, and more recently, Undertale by Toby Fox. This two-parter falls under that same category and is on an elite little league alongside the ranks of the Shell, the Origins, the Fury, and the Choices. It meets my personal criteria of shaking up the norms that the show has set in stone and going above and beyond the standard fare. When I said that the stakes have been raised higher in these episodes than any other point in the show, allow me to clarify where I'm coming from. Gumball has a tendency to do a lot of things, one of them being paying mention to the fourth wall, if not shattering it. Here, the fourth wall isn't being shattered or leaned on, it's being ground to dust and crushed underfoot until the last of its remains have scattered into the wind. This two-parter stresses that the amazing world of Gumball, and I'm referring to the show's universe now and not just the show itself, is a more tangible element than meets the eye. That the denizens of this realm possess the same sentience that all living things in real life do and are indeed capable of the same emotions and sensations to the same capacity as their real-life counterparts. Rob isn't just destroying Gumball's life, he's putting the show's foundation on the brink. Thanks to his awareness of the medium that he's part of and the power of the universal remote, he can remodel the show as he sees fit, or even outright destroy it. Judging by his actions and previous events, the former is more likely to be his motivation. Not to mention that the timing could not be any more impeccable. Think about this. The Disaster is the Season 4 finale, and the rerun is the Season 5 premiere. Rob pushes Gumball into the void at the tail end of the Disaster. While Gumball is plummeting down the void, the credits are playing in the background. Do you remember the topic that was addressed in the finale? Oh, for the love of... I'm talking about the Season 2 finale! Remember that episode? Remember how it ended? How the Wattersons were face to face with the ire of all the citizens of Elmore, and it just cuts to the credits before any kind of harm befalls them, and everything is fine and dandy again come the next episode, like someone had just hit the reset button on a video game console? Now, imagine this two-parter and this very unlikely possibility. Gumball is outside the boundaries of his show. He is unprotected. He cannot be saved by the status quo here. Had things turned out differently, Rob would be running amok doing as he pleases, channeling his inner Flowey and changing the show according to his design, all while Gumball is cast away from his universe, and nothing will ever be the same again. That is a terrifying notion. This is the ultimate obliteration of the fourth wall and throwing of our protagonist beyond the horizon. Holy man. And of course, who better to steal the show back than both the protagonist himself and the antagonist? This is a badass moment for Gumball. We know that he takes after Nicole beyond just their appearances. I've said before that it was only a matter of time before he reaches the same levels of badassery that his mother reached when she was his age. That time has long since passed, and this two-parter is the apex of that evolution. When the situation gets severely dire, Gumball will cast aside his own selfishness and fight for what he believes is greater than himself. We saw it when Penny broke out of her shell, and we're seeing it now when the world he knows is endangered, and the potential that sleeps inside of him is awakened, like a dragon slumbering in its cave. On the other side of the spectrum, Rob really ups the ante of his villainy here. The scope of his ambition in this two-parter dwarfs his past antics on a 10-to-1 scale. I guess isolation does that to you. No, scratch that. Escaping Limbo does that to you. Speaking of which, it's devastating what happened to him at the end. In return for his arch-enemy's acts of selflessness towards him, he repays him with a selfless act of his own, but at the greatest expense that anyone can pay. What little there is left of him, he willingly throws it away, resigning himself to a life of desolation, an existence that will go unnoticed, or be briefly remembered only to be forgotten afterwards. The repentant nobody who openly accepts his fate as the hero's sworn enemy, secretly holding out that the circumstances will have changed when next they meet, that the friendship they've just formed will still be there. Somehow. Maybe. Just maybe. Ouch, man. Ouch. The mere thought of it hurts. Right in the feels. I've already made up my mind as to what my score will be. The Disaster and the rerun easily get a 5 out of 5. Nowhere else in the show, or other Cartoon Network programming for that matter, has the meta concept been front and center the way it is in this two-parter. The immense weight present for much of the plot elevates the show to a level it's never been to in the past, and it is exactly these high stakes that bring out the best in the young blue cap that we all know and love. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm the one and only CR Martin, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, sorry I held off for too long on this review. Between the National Novel Writing Month going on throughout November, the release of Pokemon Sun and Moon, the upcoming collaboration, and other commitments, I have a lot on my plate, and my plate is never empty. Besides that, with November finally behind us, I'll have more room to put these videos out for your viewing pleasure. Up next is the collaboration between me and a special guest, and after that is the Christmas edition review. Look forward to those, because I sure as hell am. CR Martin signing out. Have a nice day.